Okay, so we are regularly asked about disability benefit questionnaires, or otherwise known as DBQs. And these are the forms that the C&P examiners complete when you all are scheduled for the C&P examinations or the re-examinations when you have filed for disability service connection or for an increase in your evaluation. These questionnaires are also used when the VA is scheduling a re-examination as far as determining whether or not there should be a change in your evaluation. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is exactly what information is contained in these questionnaires, because they can actually be really helpful to you as far as pursuing and helping to prove your own claims. So there are oftentimes going to be things that you can find in there that will help you to determine what evidence is missing from your file that will help you to prove your own case. When you're looking at the criteria the VA is going to consider when determining what evaluation you're entitled for, or excuse me, entitled to for certain disabilities, those criteria are contained within the Code of Federal Regulations. But if you're not familiar with the Code of Federal Regulations and you're not sure how to find what you're looking for, sometimes it can be really difficult to find that information there. However, the VA has their disability questionnaires on the internet. And if you search for VA forms, disability benefits questionnaires, you should be able to navigate yourself to the VA's website where they have those forms. When you look through those forms, they're going to have the criteria that's contained in the Code of Federal Regulations that's going to almost give you a path, like a roadway, to determine what information your doctors need to be identifying as far as the severity of your condition and what symptoms you experience because of your condition. And that will help very much to determine for you and for the VA to determine what evaluation you would be entitled to for your condition. Additionally, for some conditions, very oftentimes mental health disabilities, you can look at those forms and you can see exactly what symptoms the VA examiners and the VA raters are going to be looking for in order to determine whether or not you meet the criteria for the condition in order to be able to get service connection. Obviously, for service connection, you're still going to need a nexus or a medical link between your current condition and your service. And so that's not going to be something necessarily you will be able to determine from the disability benefit questionnaire, but it is oftentimes information that the VA examiners include in those questionnaires when they are completing them for the VA. So in addition to VA physicians and examiners being able to complete these questionnaires, sometimes you're going to run into a situation where you feel like you've gotten an unfavorable evaluation when you go to your C&P examination. If that happens, you can take these questionnaires to your doctor or to a doctor of your choice and try and see if they would be willing to complete them in order for you to be able to provide that information to the VA in support of your case. One caveat that I will mention as far as getting an outside provider to complete these forms is that the VA is going to be really specific about wanting to make sure that the physician meets appropriate criteria to be able to complete these forms. And so we've seen in the past that the VA might not be willing to give as much weight to these questionnaires if they're not certain who the provider is and can't track down that provider's credentials. So one thing that I would recommend if you are going to have a private physician or an outside treating physician complete the form for you is to make sure that they have provided information as far as, printing out their name, where they work, the address, so that VA can locate them and be able to identify them. And certainly if you're able to do it, providing a CV or a curriculum vitae for the doctor that provides all of their credentials, that can be helpful helpful as far as allowing the VA to determine the appropriate weight to give to that doctor's opinion.